Can chemicals be causing your blood sugar imbalances and weight struggles? There are studies that have drawn the link between diabetes and some really dangerous chemicals found in our environment, maybe even some of our household products that we use regularly. I'm Dena Woulfe, your holistic health nurse, helping you transform your health naturally. And here's kind of what you need to know. So many of us believe that type 2 diabetes is generally caused by a clear lack of exercise, poor diet, maybe some bad genes. But now we're seeing more than 29 million Americans have diabetes and 86 million more that are pre-diabetic. So adding to those risk factors are going to be some of the other culprits thought to be contributing to diabetes epidemic around the world. And those are going to be chemicals that are found in our daily use products. So some of these certain chemicals are directly increasing our risk of diabetes, while others just kind of contribute to obesity. And that's another serious risk factor for the development of type 2 diabetes. So if you would like a link to the studies that are done to show the correlation, let me know. I'll get that to you. Now, I personally believe that when our bodies are bombarded with the chemicals, it makes it just harder and harder and harder for our liver to excrete and our excretory organs to actually function like they should. So it kind of like bogs down our system. It makes us really sluggish and slow. It lowers our immune system. It lowers our other natural functions more and more and more. And then it just makes us to where we develop the obesity. Then we're more prone to other diseases like the diabetes. So let's take a look at some possible correlations between the two. Now, two of the main chemicals that we know are culprits are phthalates and bisphenol A, so BPA. So now these are common chemicals found in commercial soaps and nail polishes, hairsprays, perfumes, moisturizers, makeup, I mean, you name it. So these are the areas that they're implicated. And in a study that was published in July of 2012, the Journal of Environmental Health Perspective, researchers found that women with the highest levels of phthalates in their urine had a 70% higher risk of diabetes than women that had the lower levels of phthalates in their bodies. Pretty crazy, huh? Another study published in June of 2014 in the Journal of Environmental Health Perspectives found that phthalate exposure may be associated with the risk of type 2 diabetes among middle-aged women. So not older women, but middle-aged women. And they suspect that it has to do with that premenopausal period where we have a lot more endocrine disruption and we have higher levels of estrogen. And so there's like a binding thing that's happening. Now, there's three other chemicals that we see a correlation and a culprit with, and that's going to be things like arsenic, PCBs, and dioxins. So arsenic is very tricky because what they did was they studied like drinking water levels in Taiwan and Bangladesh, and they discovered that the higher amounts of arsenic were associated with diabetes. So there was a direct link between the two, like a very strong association is what they called it. So the doctor in that study noticed that like in United States, the EPA actually regulates chemicals like arsenic. So us as Americans, we don't have those higher levels of exposure. We're seeing things like organic arsenic, so like it's naturally found in our fruits, but we're not getting a higher amount in the drinking water. So our ranges tend to be a little bit on the lower side compared to those other countries. So as the levels of arsenic rise or decrease, that's going to change our correlation. So research has actually found that literature linking the exposure between the diabetes is it kind of needs a little bit more study because it's not very definitively clear because of the organic and inorganic. So there's polychlorinated biphenyls, so the PCBs, and then the dioxins, which are among the chemicals examined and found to have at least some association with diabetes. So far, what we do know is that the chemicals are stored in our body via the fat cells. And so basically, the more fat we have, the more chemicals we're likely storing, which like eeks, right? So on a little side note, the BCPs were banned in 1979 by the EPA, but they still exist in our environment. So they've been directly linked to obesity in adults. And, I'm sure we'll see more studies emerging on the topic in the future. And diabetes could be caused by a number of factors, right? So even like a combination of factors, it's possible a chemical in the environment might be an added risk factor. And we also know that there's also other lifestyle things that could be a factor as well as genes. So the best way that we can act on it is to work on our healthy behaviors and really develop some habits that are good for helping our bodies detoxify. And that's going to come under our own control by like managing what we eat, how much water we're drinking, because that can help flush toxins out as well. And then, what we're eating, how much we're eating of it, and making sure that we're exercising so that we can sweat and excrete some of those things as well. We want to be eliminating good, right? So if you need help cleaning up your chemical load, please reach out. We've been using green cleaning products and making our own like soaps and all kinds of stuff, laundry detergent, you name it, for like the past decade, which I've got tons of DIY recipes that I can share with you. I love helping women clean up their cabinets. No one likes a mess under the sink, right? And I love when I first started, a good friend of mine, she had a 3-year-old, and we had just changed over all of the stuff underneath the sink. And a couple days later, her son got under there and drank one of the things that we had made. Most of the stuff we make is with, baking soda, water, and maybe some vinegar, nothing that's going to hurt him. And so she was like, oh my goodness, I am so glad I cleaned up my cabinets, because if he would have drank, something like bleach or something like that, we'd be pumping his stomach or at the hospital, calling poison control, and she would be freaking out. So we definitely don't want that kind of mess underneath the sink. We don't want that kind of mess in our home. And so let's talk more about how to lower your risk. And if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share this video.